What if I told you that Minecraft's end dimension is actually the overworld? Millions of years later, how over time, the villagers of today evolved rapidly into advanced life forms that possess supernatural abilities, also known as Endermen. And finally, how Minecraft's most catastrophic war wiped out the entire planet, causing the beginning of the end. If you guys find yourself enjoying this video at any point, then please like and subscribe to the video, as your guys' support helps motivate me to create more content just like this. It all started one day, in the deep depths of Minecraft's dark forest. There, it was rumored that a massive woodland mansion existed, housing some of Minecraft's most evil and powerful entities, known as illagers. They featured an uncanny resemblance to their villager counterpart, with almost the same exact body structure, but had an entirely different demeanor. The illagers wanted to turn the villagers' peaceful land of Minecraft into a dangerous realm, where hostile creatures roam freely, terrorizing anybody who came inside of them. What the illagers failed to realize, though, was just how far the reign of terror would go. But why? Why did the villagers want to destroy the world? Ever notice how in abandoned strongholds, massive libraries with bookshelves would be left behind? It was rumored that inside of these books, stories would be told of a land far, far away from the overworld, called the Aether. The Aether was a land where all beings could be reincarnated into divine power, in the form of angels and saints. The other thing referenced in these books was the inevitable destruction of the world, due to a fatal asteroid that would hit the Earth, wiping out all life in existence. So why was this important? Well, the only way to reach the Aether was to sacrifice yourself to the gods, to prove your loyalty and dedication. Back to the illagers, the possibility of the Aether seemed like a perfect mixture for a cult, which is what the illagers exactly became. A cult led by an illager who believed his kind could be reincarnated into the Aether. This is why the woodland mansion seems so cult-like in Minecraft. They built statues of cats and chickens, symbolizing worship in a greater god, and in every room, a form of the outside world can be recreated inside, so that there can never be a need to step outside the mansion. In essence, a cult mansion. So anyway, the illagers' first plan of action: plant monster spawners in underground caves, unbeknownst to any villager on the surface. This of course brings up the question, how did the illagers create monster spawners? Have you ever noticed that every time you break a monster spawner, some experience comes out of it? The illagers found out early on of the mystical qualities of experience after stealing a small quantity from a priest villager. While running some tests, they managed to infuse themselves with the XP bottles, giving them divine-like power in the form of summoning spirits. After a little more experimentation, the illagers discovered that they could summon the essence of all evil itself, hostile mobs. By trapping a soul of a hostile mob in a cage and adding XP to it, the monster spawner was created. Almost overnight, the world would start to fill up with all sorts of evil creatures, and the peace the world once had was slowly beginning to turn into chaos. Ruined portals would start emerging up from the ground, a byproduct of all the evil magic produced by the illagers. The illagers grew curious of this and decided to finish the broken portal, uncovering something that would rapidly speed up their plan of destruction: the Nether. Now, the Nether in itself is an entire story of its own, but what the illagers focused on was the Nether Fortress, a structure originally built by the zombified piglins, but then was invaded by its inhabitants of today, the Blazes, and the Withered Skeletons. The illagers sent out spies to see if there was anything else to this fortress, and right off the bat, they noticed something extremely fishy. The illagers had an ability to utilize souls to create anything they wanted. This of course also included being able to see souls as well. What stood out to the illagers especially though, was all of the beings in the Nether seemed to have more evil but yet sadder souls than in the overworld. For instance, the Ghast soul was scared and always seemed to be crying. The Piglin soul was greedy, but tended to have more false memories of a past life, causing them to build structures as close as possible to their memory. The Withered Skeleton's soul was the purest form of evil, deriving from its greater being in the Wither. The most important soul, however, was the Blaze's soul. The soul of a Blaze was similar to the Ghast, trapped inside its own body, and wanted to be free of the Nether. When freeing the Blaze of its soul, aka killing it, the game gives you an achievement called Into the Fire, and to do so, relieve a Blaze of its rod. So basically, by quote-unquote relieving a Blaze, aka freeing the Blaze of its quote-unquote rod, aka its soul, the game references how Blazes wish to be free, and that wish is fulfilled once you kill them. And while the soul of a Blaze is free, their physical form of the rod is still left to be collected. The illagers also noticed that Blaze rods had a much higher mystical quality than anything else seen before. After investigating it a bit more, the illagers were able to extract the powder from the Blaze's soul, and with the help of witches, they were able to create potions, but nothing else could really be gathered from Blazes. The illagers then remembered the unfinished portal at the abandoned stronghold. However, the blaze rods and blaze powder didn't seem to work on it. The illagers were left at a dead end, at least for now. Let's fast forward to the end. And why do I say fast forward? Well, let's talk about Enderman. Being the only inhabitant of the quote-unquote end, their physical attributes outshine almost every mob in Minecraft. Endermen are 3 blocks tall, taller than any other mob in Minecraft. Endermen are also able to pick up blocks and place them, almost as if they were a player. Endermen are also able to run extremely fast when enraged. But most importantly, Endermen can teleport to any location at will, with seemingly infinite distances. What if I told you that Endermen not only teleport in distance, but also in time? Think about it. Endermen look nothing like other mobs in the overworld. Endermen are even known to be spotted in the Nether, an even more out of place location for them. What can explain this? Time travel. But what about ruined portals? Thought to be portals to a new dimension, it's actually a gateway to a different point in time. This would explain how Endermen are able to be seen, and also explain soul sand, the souls of a past life having nowhere to go except for being forgotten in ruins, eroded in sand. And so, what about the end portal? The Endermen knew exactly what it was, as it looked like something that belonged to their time. By combining the two highest mystical quality items, blaze rods and ender pearls, the portal was opened up, and when said entity would enter it, they would travel through millions of years into the end. One small byproduct though, the amount of energy needed to travel an entity that far into time meant that the portal was unable to be opened for more than one entity. This caused the opening of the end portal to go under the radar, and only Enderman knew about its true purpose. So back to this timeline, does it go overworld, nether, end? How did the world get so messed up? One answer: pillagers. While illagers were busy creating the tools needed to destroy the world, pillagers were ready to wreak havoc to all the villagers, the ones who outcasted them for not following the teachings of villager lifestyle. Countless village after village was pillaged, leaving behind abandoned villages for the mobs to take over. Unknowingly, pillagers had done the work for the illagers already. Now, the land of the villages, a once fresh and peaceful land, had turned into a ruined wasteland with pillagers to eventually rebuild their civilization over them and leave the victims of war to be enslaved for torture and economic gains. 100 years would pass, and the illagers have completely replaced the villagers. However, their way of ruling was highly corrupted. With no system in place to keep power in check, fights would break loose and leave hundreds, even thousands of pillagers dead in the streets. It was a steady downhill decline for the world's new civilization. The illagers knew what they had to do. The atom bomb was planned to be detonated, and every illager was to be asleep during the explosion, as to make the most seamless transition from the overworld to the aether. The entire world of Minecraft, completely decimated. Aside from endless void, there was something more though. Nuclear fission, fused with the energy of souls, and intense explosions of magic, released shortly after the atom bomb, caused several permanent side effects to the world. The grass and dirt of before was transformed into an almost lifeless stone, emitting negative forms of energy. The clear blue skies and white clouds transformed into skies of nothing, a byproduct of the intense energy emission from before, causing almost every element to be voided. This new world had looked quite similar to the end, but there was still something missing. Remember, the imprisoned villagers from the era of pillager rule. Well, miraculously, a handful of them had actually survived, but with permanent damage. Firstly, their bodies had shrunken due to lack of nourishment from imprisonment, and secondly, the blast from the magically infused atom bomb had turned them into unrecognizable creatures, known today as Endermen. When a player would look into their eyes, they would be reminded of how their kind was abused and destroyed, causing them to be enraged by a magical force, seeking only to get revenge. When Endermen came into contact with water, the clean hydrogen and oxygen atoms caused them to instantly teleport away, as it is a sudden reminder of their past life. And their way of traveling through time? That can only be explained with ender pearls. But wait, if the Endermen could freely travel through time, then why didn't they just stop the illagers from decimating the entire world, and the pillagers from overtaking them, the villagers? This was explained by a simple principle. If an Enderman were to modify time in any way, the consequences could be dire. Their newly rebuilt civilization in the end could be totally wiped out, along with an almost infinite amount of possibilities, could cause even greater destruction than the illagers. So Endermen just wandered around, trying their best to blend in with their surroundings and just be observers. Now for just one last question, the Ender Dragon. The Ender Dragon actually used to be a regular dragon, a free-spirited creature that used to belong to a family of powerful dragons, in a land far, far away from the overworld. But when the great magical atom bomb struck, they were lost in the void, and with no energy left to fall in the void and be forgotten in time. That's why when a player falls in the void, they respawn with nothing, a byproduct of being forgotten. One dragon, however, had found the island inhabited by the Endermen. Their body was also modified with magical energy. As a result, the end was created. That is the tragic story of the end. So yeah guys, if you enjoyed that Minecraft lore video, I will admit I go a little bit overboard sometimes, just a little bit, then please like and subscribe. Tell me what you guys liked about it, what I could change, I'm up to criticism, And yeah, see you guys in the next one.